Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Mental Toughness and Body Show. On this show, we're going to talk about coaching and how we turn people into business athletes. And now some people say coaching is a scam, it's a waste of time and money, you don't need it. But our guest today is going to blow you away with her insights into why every human being needs a coach in their corner. Obviously, on this podcast, we have interviewed people from all walks of life. And today we have a tremendous guest, Jen Gaudet. Jen, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
So Jen, maybe tell us a little bit about, so the audience can get to know you a little bit better. Tell us about your background, and I know that you're running like 11 different businesses at the moment. So kudos to you. Tell us a little bit about your journey, where you spend most of your time today.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I was an athlete. I played soccer. I believe you guys call it football down under.
No, we actually call it soccer, so that's okay.
Okay, well, soccer. I was a soccer athlete, and I knew that as a female athlete, that wasn't a monetary strategy. So I decided to go into sports medicine. My background, 20 years, sports medicine. I'm a physical therapist by trade. You guys call them physio there, and a degree in psychology. So I worked with professional and Olympic athletes for 20 years. And so I'm really excited to talk to you guys because we all know with elite athletes, what's happening between the ears is 50% of the battle. And the other is your training, your restoration, your nutrition, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm really excited about that. And I actually retired that in 2017 in favor of creating business athletes because the world needs us to step up and really take command. And I call it becoming the CEO of our business and our life. Becoming the CEO of our life really is embodying that athlete mindset. So that's kind of the evolution of what I've done. And between all the learnings and all of the persistence and just kind of following what is going to challenge me to the next level, that's kind of what created the entrepreneur in me. And I have ownership in these businesses. I mostly am passively owning them and have people running them. But the businesses that I do in my day-to-day are coaching and consulting, because I truly believe that as we coach others and we bring the greatness out in others, that ripple effect impacts so many more people. And I'm really here for that legacy. Let's build a healthier, more resilient community.
Yeah, awesome. And did you find the transition from your previous career into what you're doing now, did you find that difficult, or was it pretty natural?
So the doing of it was easy. The coaching was easy because as a physical therapist, you have to be coaching these athletes through their pain, through their mental struggles, through their fears, they're injured, getting back to play, or getting them in the performance side to push past their PRs so that they can, get on that podium. But that piece was easy. It was the leaving traditional medicine here and everybody thinking I had lost my mind and losing my whole support structure because coaching was very new. And I got a lot of questions like, why the heck would you give up a successful career in favor of being a coach? And it had a very negative connotation. So there was a lot of adversity on the personal and community side of it that I didn't expect. I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. This is easy. It's a great transition. Yeah, I lost all my friends. I lost all my business contacts. And it's really funny because they gave me a lot of guff, but I kept showing up and I turned it into a successful practice. And 18 months later, they're like, wait, what are you doing? How do I do some of that?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I was a chartered accountant for like 19 years. And even though I wasn't like a practicing chartered accountant, I used those skills to get into other roles within big corporates here in Australia. And when I made the decision to move away from that, so I was earning six figures, I was reporting directly to senior management and so forth. And so many people said to me, oh, you can always come back when it doesn't work. It's like, yeah, thanks for your support. Or, you're never going to make any money from that, and etc. But the people, one person that really mattered to me said, I've never known anyone to follow their passion and fail. And he said, I'm so envious of you, which was really special to me. And I've never forgotten it, because this was somebody, though, I really looked up to. And he was the only person that got it. And that's why he was at the top, because he could see these things. And yeah, I would say the same thing. It was an easy transition. The coaching part was easy, but yes, the getting into business mindset and thinking that you worked hard before and now you're working harder than you've ever worked before. And yeah, just people, I'd be the same. All those people that I used to deal with, they're not part of my life anymore because it just wasn't the right energy around me. So I can really relate to what you went through. So tell me a little bit about so you're in the physical therapy side of it, and you I know that you're qualified in the psychology side too. Was that something where you said, I need to do these at the same time, or you were doing the physical therapy, you had a lot of interest in the mindset side of things that, oh, I need to do this too, because I just really love that?
So I'm going to be frank. My undergraduate, I was torn between the physical side and the mental side. So my degree in psych came first. I did
Okay.
a double in exercise science, kinesiology, and psychology, and then went on to medical for the physical therapy. So I had an equal interest at a very young age because I was an athlete, and I knew that if I had a bad game and was in my head, that would cause the downward spiral. So I always had that kind of mindset, that interest in the mindset. And what I learned, and I truly believe this, Rob, I believe I became great at what I did very rapidly because I understood how important between the ears is
Mm.
before I got my clinical expertise in.
Yes.
I mean, I was literally out of school not 3 months and working with my first professional athlete. Now, I did a lot to get there. I drove 8 hours after my 40-hour work week to be mentored and to learn under the best of the best in the country after I'd already put in my hours for the week. So I did a lot to get there. But I knew that if I could relate on that deeper level and get into the mindset piece of it, I knew I would have better results with any therapeutic. Because if you think about it, the hands-on and the training, the strength and conditioning, or whatever you're doing from a rehabilitative process or sport performance process to improve your human performance, like there's only so far that nutrition, sleep, and training can get you. And then where do you find the edge? Well, it's in the unwavering belief that I can do this,
Yes.
and in the ability to be resilient. I call it mental resilience. You call it mental toughness. Maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. But you have to be able to fail 99 times and still keep pushing, believing you're going to be able to PR and bench that next level or run that quicker 40 or whatever it is that we're training in. And I do believe that piece of it is what made me so great at what I did when I was practicing.
Yeah, that's really powerful. It's like I'm looking in the mirror right now, except you're way better looking than me.
Oh,
But
I wouldn't say that.
in terms of the work that I do, I mean, there's a perception out there. There's so many people in the field of, what I do in my country and in my community, but I look at it really differently. And the easy part really for me is putting in place a meal plan for somebody, or setting them up with the right training program, or getting them to go to, because I don't do physical therapy, to get them to go to the right people for that treatment. That's the easy part. It's what's going on up here to get them to change those 10, 20, 30, sometimes even 50 years of habits to have that mindset of an athlete effectively, and to understand that it doesn't matter what's happened in the past, you are still capable of greatness and feeling so much better. And so that's the part that I'm really passionate about now, and growing that and understanding more about that. So hearing your insights are really fascinating. And when you hear, I was just at the Tom Brady event here in Australia a few days ago, and hearing him talk about how every day he never wanted to be the best of all time. He just wanted to be the best him, the best version of him. And he was always showing up to be the best so that he could lead by example and do all those sorts of things. But why do you think that it is such a struggle, that people really struggle to, I guess, overcome their demons? And say in the sporting field, where we just finished the Australian Open here. So say that you've come out to face Djokovic 19 times. This is the 20th time. You've lost the previous 19. And so many people are already lost the game before they step out onto the court. So what are perhaps some of the insights that you see as to why people beat them up so much, themselves up so much?
Well, it's the stories that they're telling themselves, and I want to back up on that a little bit as well. It's reps. They've put in reps in competition and failed each time. And what happens with a lot of people is they let that define them instead of coming back the next day and saying, okay, what did I do well? Like we
Yes.
get so caught up in the losses and the things we did poorly that we forget to look at what did we do well, because I want to do more of that and tweak some of the other things in the learning. So, the losses are learning. So tweak some of the things that didn't go so well, like one step at a time. And so if we go and we show up and we fail and we fail and we fail and we let that get to us, we're not mentally rehearsing our success. And one of the most important things that we do with high performing athletes, and now I do with entrepreneurs, is we incorporate mental rehearsal, the successful mental rehearsal, and we start from the end. We start from winning that 20th match. And we see ourselves and we future pace into winning that match. And then we kind of press rewind, if you're old enough like me to remember VHS, where you actually rewound
I
the
remember.
tape. Right. So we kind of press rewind and we go through the match that led up to that success. And then we go a step further in our mental rehearsal. We see the success, we do the rewind. And then the third rehearsal is what training and what did I put in place successfully to be able to win that 20th match? And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They don't actually reverse engineer what is possible for success. And I love that you said you're passionate about the habits, because truly the habits of today create our success for tomorrow. So if there's something that we're not happy with, today is the day to make that small change. And so when people get stuck in their head, they don't see what is the one small change that I can take so that I practice that and that becomes a part of who I am, and then layering in those habits in order to get to their success. So I think it's a combination of the story that we tell ourselves and the failure to see the success or truly believe that it's possible after a time. And that's just a limiting belief. That's
Yes.
100% between the ears. And we can correct that through mental rehearsal and some other techniques. There's a ton of techniques. You've been around for a while, you're a successful coach. And so the things that you're doing, there's so much fear around asking for support or admitting that, hey, I'm in my head. And let's face it, high performing athletes, if you are at the Open, you are a peak elite performer. And we're between our ears more than anybody else. If we're a high performer, our worst critic is never anyone else. It's always ourselves.
That's right. Right. Yeah, I love that. Great insights. I think what you see, some of the great coaches and the great, if we're talking high performance sports here, it doesn't have to be just sports, but where, I don't know, say it's a 4-quarter of a sport, or 2 quarters if it's or 2 halves in soccer, isn't it? And you're, I don't know, let's say it's soccer and you're down 10-0. That's man, and you've got another half to go. That's a massive deficit, right? But what the smart people do, and the good players and the good coaches, will say, well, how do we win this half? How do we win this next 15 minutes? What are the things that we can focus on so that we can walk away? We may not win, but we can focus on what it is that we can do in this moment to take control of that. And I think about, say, in a team sport, whether it's the NFL, I say the NFL, we've got the Super Bowl coming up, and say you're the bottom team and you've been the bottom team for the last 10 years. How does the coach come into that's the new season and say, well, man, 10 years we've lost, we hardly win any games? You've got to come up with the right strategy and game plan. Say, okay, let's make sure we implement our plan right. Let's not worry about the result, but let's implement the plan right and learn from that. I think there's a lot to be said by learning from those little bits of a plan rather than the whole victory. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would point to the Detroit Lions. You brought the NFL in. Now they lost last night. That had to be devastating, but that coach came in to a team that was really not that powerful, and they're known as grit. They call themselves True Grit. Why? Because it doesn't matter how beat down they are or what they're doing, they are showing up to have that 1% improvement at each practice. Internally, each one of them, and as a team. And so they really are showing up, and I love it, because I mean, we're talking about mental toughness here. What better way to describe it than what Detroit's season has looked like? They haven't won a home playoff game like in my lifetime. The
Oh,
last
wow.
time the playoffs was in the early 90s, and they haven't gotten this far since, like, nobody 65 or younger has ever remembered a time, but they did it this year and they kept going. They got to the championship game. Now they lost last night, and they lost after like having the lead. They laid a goose egg in the second half, like almost until the very end of the game. But they still kept showing up and kept playing. And
Yes.
that's the essence of, okay, yeah, we haven't had it for a long time, but we're going to show up and we're going to do everything in our power. We're going to show up with grit and perseverance, and we're going to be the mentally tough people who show up to this game, and we're going to do it. And even when San Francisco had scored like 24 unanswered points, they still showed up and gave their best. And that to me is mental toughness and resilience. And that's good coaching. That coach was saying, okay, great, let's throw that out. That didn't go so well. What are we going to do this next set of downs that's going to get us in position so that we can, get the ball in the end zone? So I think that's a perfect illustration of everything that we're talking about so far.
Yeah, fantastic. So people might be listening to this and saying, oh, well, all the examples we've talked about are like high performance sports and so forth. But let's take it back a bit. And this is what I love about studying high performance in any field. But what's your perspective on taking this and applying it to the everyday, normal, average type human being?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it real simply. You're not where you want to be today in any area of life, whether it's your finances, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your parenting, whatever area of life, if you're not where you want to be, it's because of all the habits and practices that you have put into place and what's between your ears up until today. 6 months ago, you made your you of today, for example. Look at it and say, okay, I'm going to use finances because it's something that's really easy and it's something that's on everybody's mind, because cost structure has gone up personally and professionally. So, if you're feeling it in the pocketbook and you would like to improve that, then what is the one small change that I can make today? What is the one thing I can do today that will set me up to not be having the same conversation in 6 months? And do it. And don't think about it. Don't overthink it, because what we do when we've been telling ourselves this story and what got us to today and we're not happy with, we've been telling us the same story. Don't think about it. You have to bypass the brain and just do. The action of just taking a step forward. And we talk about this all the time on my TV show. We talk about that knowledge is only like a small part of the equation, but the magic happens in the implementation. When you do one thing, you're just doing, you're creating that positive momentum. And that gets you out of that stuck inertia. Like, we're stuck. We've been doing the same thing. We have the same habits. It's hard to change what we do. But the one small thing that will swing that door and create that positive momentum overcomes the inertia. And then you just keep doing that, a little thing. It's a little thing. Pick a little thing. And then you'll start to see that now you're in a different place. And like in the financial example, I'm using that because you said accounting. So I've got finance on the brain. It might look like I am going to not have that latte. I'm not going to go buy that latte. Instead, I'm going to invest that, $7 a day, right? Well, if you invest that $7 a day and it compounds, guess what? You can buy a car with cash next year.
Yeah.
So, it makes a big impact if you're living paycheck to paycheck and not happy with where you are. So it's the one, what I would tell your audience, what is the one thing that you can change today, and just do it. Don't think about it. Don't give yourself excuses, because it's in the doing and the taking action that actually overcomes the inertia. And you might surprise yourself. It might have an even bigger impact once you get unstuck.
I think you're spot on, because you implement that one thing. This is what I talk to my clients about all the time. It's like, let's focus on the little things that you can do. Forget about the big things. It's all the little things that you consistently do that by the end of 3 months, 12 months, whatever, adds up to massive change. But as you're doing that, it creates momentum. So actually, this is feeling really good. And whether the results that you're getting are normally multiple, and then you say, oh, what else can I do then? And you add that next little thing as well. And you just do that. You're not doing 10,000 things. You're doing a couple of things, but you're doing them like 10,000 times. And that's where you get the get the results. So I love what you're saying. Let's talk about Jen for a second. What would you say the biggest challenge that you're facing right now?
Oh, that's a great question. So right now, and I literally just went through this and coached on this. The biggest challenge that I'm having right now is, where do I put my focus and so that I can stay in my zone of genius? Because I've got several businesses. I'm doing a lot of investing. Like, I now have a second TV show. So I have a healthcare TV show as well as my entrepreneurship one. And so I've got a lot of things going on, and I'm really having to figure out where I can have the biggest impact on the most lives, because I'm kind of at a legacy point in my life. And I want to have a visible, like a visceral, I can feel the change in my community towards the better. And my big passion is health, of course, health and human vitality. And so I'm reevaluating everything I'm doing. And the challenge is, some of the things that I'm doing I really love, but they're not really a challenge for me anymore, and they're not having as much of an impact. So my challenge is actually one between the ears. Surprisingly enough, it's going to be the ability to let go of those things that I still enjoy, but they're not actually going to move my mission vision, my big mission vision forward for impact. And so I think 2024 is going to be a lot of focus, doubling down on the things that are maximizing impact and that are really going to move the needle in a way that I can much more. So I'm focusing more on the outreach. I haven't done a lot of podcasts. I haven't agreed to do a lot because I'm on television. And so time with everything is a premium. But one way I can do that is by, for example, coming here. And if one person has a positive impact and takes that action, well, then hello, the ripple effect is going to be huge. So I'm making some different commitments. And that's a challenge for me, because we all get comfortable. And we all get comfortable in where we are, and it's that stretch into something that's different, new. And for me, it's the focusing in and letting go of some things that I enjoy still, but are not really going to move me forward.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, focus is such a powerful word, and it's same for me this year. It's like my focus is got to be very, very specific on. It's easy to get distracted by the shiny objects and everything around you. So yeah, well done to you. I want to ask you, this is one of my beliefs here, that this is the way that I run myself. And I believe that the center, if you like, I call it my spine, for me, for success, if I want to be successful in any area, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's relationships, business, own personal wellness, and so forth, it is got to come from my own health, wellness, fitness, food, all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming that you might hold a similar belief. So if we want to get the best out of somebody, forget about say the high performance athlete, for instance, but if you want to get a better result for a person in business, then for me, it's like, okay, we've got to start with your health and wellness, because it doesn't matter. You can put in extra hours, but like you and I just know they're not going to be focused. They're not going to be energized. They're not going to be making the best decisions. Does that resonate?
Yeah, and actually it's fundamental. And so one of the things that's kind of unique about my practice, I work with people to become business athletes. I help them become the CEO of their business and their life. And that starts with the pillars of human performance. So when I coach people on business, yeah, there's the business strategy and tactics, but those are only so good as what you as the entrepreneur show up as. And if we're not peak performing and the best us that we can be, then we're not making the right decision the first time. We don't have speed of implementation. We're not leading our teams in a way that's going to really optimize our business, for example. So we always start with the foundation. We start with the foundations in business, but we start with the foundation in health, which is sleep. Like, if people are watching this and are listening to this and they're not getting good sleep, if you are not getting good sleep, your body literally cannot restore, rejuvenate, renew. It doesn't matter how we fuel it or move it. We're not going to be optimal. We're going to have brain fog. We're going to make poor decisions. We're not going to be energized. So I always start with sleep, and then fuel your body, hydration, right? Hydration and what we put in. If we're not fueling our body and really fueling our brain output, then it doesn't matter what we do on the strategy and tactics, we're not going to be our best. And then I add movement to that. So 100%, you and your health we only get one body, at least right now. I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll be cyborgs in the future, or
Maybe
maybe
not in
we'll
our
be
lifetime, but yes, in the future, yes.
but we only got one body, and we have to take care of that, and that body can perform optimally for us in anything that we do, whether it's being a mom, or for me it's being a Gigi, I have grandbabies, or it's being an entrepreneur, or showing up in athletics. Doesn't matter what we are doing with this body. If we are not peak performing as a human being, we're not giving the best of us to anyone in any interaction. And I think that the greatest gift that we can give to the world is for us to truly own and embody peak human performance, because then everyone gets 100% the best of us in every effort that we show up in.
Yeah, well said. What would you say is a superpower of yours?
A superpower of mine? My superpower is relationships, hand down.
Yeah.
And it's because of my psychology, and I had to train this. But active listening, so many people underestimate the value of being fully present in the
Yeah.
moment and actively listening. And people can see, like, I don't even have my phone here. I'm like here, like it's nowhere. I can't even see it. But people are so distracted and connected and checking their watches and things. But full presence, the gift of your attention, is the best gift that you can give. And I've really dialed that in. It has been a lifelong practice for me, because that didn't used to be who I was. But really showing up and being fully present helps you to create really solid relationships. And when you have solid relationships, your life is amazing. Everything you do is amazing. It impacts everything in business. I would not be successful in business if I didn't learn this skill set. So I think it's my superpower is relationships, but really it's being fully present and listening and observing, not just what they're saying, but also the nonverbal cues, so that I can develop those deeper, meaningful relationships.
It's definitely a skill, isn't it? And like any skill, you've got to practice it.
Yep, every day.
Yeah.
Every
So
day.
on the flip side, I like Superman. So what's your kryptonite?
Yeah, I give until it hurts. I have such a soft heart. People don't realize that because I come off very like direct, but I'm a total softie inside, and I would give the shirt off my back. So giving until it hurts. So I literally had to learn boundaries, and I have to work on it every single day.
Yes. Yeah, I get that. So walk us through like a typical day. Let's divide into two parts. Maybe we'll talk health and wellness first. What's a typical day for you in that space?
For me personally,
Yeah, for you personally. Yeah.
oh, I'm dialed in. So if you're listening to this, I was an athlete. So I truly believe that habits make are everything. My morning routine is silence, affirmations, visually doing a mental rehearsal of my day and everything I want to happen and how I want to show up.
So this is first thing when you get up?
First thing, I don't even get out of bed before I do this. I literally have silence and gratitude that I'm alive, gratitude for what I have, for my relationships or whatever I'm feeling grateful for. And then my mental rehearsal for the day, like that's non-negotiable. I do quick movement, like, okay, so I've only recently shared this, but I'm a dance like nobody's looking kind of girl. So I put on whatever song is like calling to me. And then I journal what is my purpose in life every day? What am I going to do today that's going to move me forward with my purpose for being? Like, why am I here? How am I going to help other human beings? And then this is really key. What action will I take towards that? And then how am I going to have fun doing it? Because I truly believe if we're not enjoying the journey, that we'll give up. Like that's something that I had to do when I was an athlete. It's something that I worked with athletes on, and it's something that I incorporate in my day. And then dance like nobody's looking, and I grab a glass of water and hydrate, because hydration is so key. And we wake up and we haven't had anything put into our body for a length of time. And if we're not hydrated, then we're not optimized. So that is non-negotiable. And then other things in health and wellness, I stay hydrated. Like that's a big thing for me. And then movement. I integrate movement into every hour of my day. So some people like to do one solid workout, and I will do a solid workout, but I literally every hour have 10 minutes that I'm doing something. Whether it's doing squats and calf raises, grabbing another glass of water, then coming back and focusing, or it's doing push-ups, whatever it is, I'm incorporating movement into every hour of my workday. And I'll tell you, I think that was a game changer for me when I left sports medicine, because I didn't realize how active you are when you're working with athletes, and then you switch to business and you're really not.
Particularly physical therapy, you're always engaging your own muscles in releasing other people's. So
Yep. Yep. And then the thing that I do at the end of the day, remember, boundaries is my work in progress. Like, I literally shut down all of my computers and I go outside and walk. I call them a CEO walk. And I'll walk and talk with my husband. I'll walk and talk with a friend. And it's kind of like an integration and a separation and a hard boundary that no more work happens after that. Like, the walk is the decompress and the break state before I move forward. So that's kind of the health and wellness side. And I'll tell you, I told you the foundation is sleep. It starts with a PM routine and a sleep hygiene. Like, I have a set time that I go to bed and a set time that I wake up. Even if I'm traveling, I still like hone in. And even if I'm not sleeping because I'm in Australia and it's a totally different time zone, I'm still going to be in bed and I'm going to meditate my way to sleep or whatever I have to do so that I can own that same length of time, because we require it.
yes. Yeah, nice. Well done. Two more questions. First one, what's next for you? You've kind of hinted at some of it, I suppose, in terms of focusing and maybe letting some of
Yeah,
the
focus. And the way that I'm doing that, like, I'm very passionate about healthcare, and I have a couple of AI company that I'm really working towards, and I'm merging technology and health/wellness. Like, I'm looking at, in my focus, how do I bring the relationships, the gifts that I have and what I'm doing, stay in my zone of genius and merge them so I can have a maximum impact. So it's my goal to have a couple of the products that we've developed really morph into something that's more engaging and impacts more lives. So that's on one side. And the other is I'm going to impact 1 million entrepreneurs this year and every subsequent year. That is my goal. And so I'm here, I'm working on that.
Yeah, nice. That's a great goal. And so last question here before we close up. If you're talking to everybody right now and somebody is sitting on the fence about, oh, should I get a coach or shouldn't I get a coach? What would you say to that person?
1000% get a coach. We are not great at self-accountability, and we are really bad at silencing our own inner critic. And it takes that outside coach in the corner. I wouldn't be where I am without coaches in my corner. I have 7. I have a health coach and a life coach and business coach. Like, I have coaches for everything that I do, because they can show us objectively and they have our back and will kick us in the tail when we need a little extra oomph. And we all get in our own way. It's human. It is human nature for us to reason through why we can't do a thing. And so that's where a coach comes in. With the right coaches in your corner, truly, I believe it's limitless what you can achieve.
Absolutely. Well said. Jen, this has been amazing. Now, I want to give you an opportunity to tell people how they can get in touch with you. You mentioned a couple of TV shows, so maybe tell us a little bit about those. I will put the links below, but tell us how people can get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. So I prefer people connect with me on social, particularly LinkedIn. I check my LinkedIn. I mean, you can email me, but 17,000 people email me every day, so it might get lost. I like LinkedIn because that's the social media that I personally check, and I don't have other people managing my inbox there. So that's how I like to connect with people. But I would love to invite you to check out my television shows. I have 2. One of them is called Power CEOs. You can get that at nowmedia.tv and click on shows and pull them up. They'll have the last year's worth of shows. And every episode we share, like, what's something personal, like CEO of your business and life is kind of the theme. What is some way that you can move yourself forward? Personal development, like all kinds of amazing people on there. And then the other one is healthcare oriented. And I'm really focused on disruption in healthcare and how do we really become the peak performing human beings that we are. So we've talked about health span, longevity, and what's new and disruptive in healthcare and wellness. So that's also on Now Media. It's called Vital Signs. So I'll share those links with you, Rob. And that would be a great way to kind of like enrich your life. I'm a coach at heart, so every single show has action steps, because I believe that that's the magic. That's how we actually move forward. I'd just like to welcome anybody to connect with me on social.
Fantastic. Jen, it's been an honor having you on the show here today. I feel so aligned with you and your thinking, and I love how you've reshaped your career to do what you do now. Well done, and congratulations on all your success. You've added so much value here today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rob.